The second question that Simon Hall from London asks is related to this point, because he says, how is it possible to obtain closeness to God without a belief in the crucifixion and the atonement of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him? Perhaps the panel could shed some light on this point.
I think it's the subject of atonement that is interesting here, because we are told that God sacrificed his son to attain man for his sins, and this was a willing sacrifice on behalf of Jesus. Whereas if you look at the incidents or that lead up to the crucifixion, we find that this was perhaps not the case, that Jesus was willing to be put on the cross. We know that the night before that he prayed in the Garden of the Gethsemane, "O Lord, take away this cup from me, take away these troubles from me." And while he was on the cross also, we know that he cried out, "Ale, ale ma sabachthani," why have you forsaken me? Now this is in stark contrast to the sacrifice that Hazrat Ishmael alayhi salam was willing to undertake when Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam asked him for his sacrifice. So that is willing sacrifice, but whereas we find that in the case of Jesus alayhi salam, he was not willing to die on the cross. And the reason for that was obviously that was an accursed death, and he, being a prophet of God, knew that if he died on the cross, then it would be taken as something that was an accursed, and that he was not a true prophet. So this subject of atonement is answered from that concept, is that Jesus was not willing to die on the cross, and that was not a willing sacrifice, and therefore the subject of atonement does not come into question. The other thing that is important to realize, and that we do, is that we believe that Allah, the Creator, God, is a just God. If somebody commits a crime, even in our day-to-day life, then he should receive the punishment for it. It is not just to punish a third party for the crime that somebody else has committed. So that is my idea on atonement, that the atonement for atoning sins, that subject and that concept is contrary to our beliefs.
I suppose the additional thing, Ibrahim Saab, is the fact that within Islam we would challenge the concept that one man could die for the atonement of the sins of mankind.
Well, I just want to just take a step back, because the question says that we cannot obtain closeness to God without belief. I mean, I would ask Simon that what about those billions of millions of people prior to the advent of Jesus? In that case, they were not allowed to have, or it was not feasible for them to have closeness to God. Whereas in the Bible we find that actually the opposite is there. I mean, if I just may demonstrate that, in the Gospel of Luke, God actually